What's going on YouTube? So if a Mercedes Maybach is a little too pedestrian for you, you've likely looked at a Rolls Royce. And today we have the special privilege to be with the all-new Spectre, which might just be the best combination of speed and silence in the lineup. So is this ultimate Rolls Royce worth the over $500,000 price tag? Well, that's what we're about to find out. So the Spectre is Rolls-Royce's first fully electric model. And despite that though, you wouldn't know it by the way it looks. Really what they've done is keep all those classic design elements, but in the background they've subtly made adjustments to help things like aerodynamics, because surprisingly this has a 0.25 coefficient of drag, which is insane when you see just the scale of this vehicle. Now, in terms of design, obviously, as a Rolls, you want a lot of bling factor. So you've got that beautiful detailed chrome grille up here in the front. You've got your Rolls-Royce branding. Up in the top, sitting on top of the hood, is your Spirit of Ecstasy. Somebody has tried to grab a hold of that a few too many times, and she's hidden now, and we can't get her back. But you know what that looks like overall. Over here at our headlights, we have the full LED unit, of course. These are a beautiful design with a split daytime running light and turn signal indicator up at the top. And then down below, of course, you've got a beautiful, just kind of simple and elegant design overall. Now, in terms of our wheels, we have massive 23-inch alloys, which honestly don't even look oversized given the overall size of this vehicle, which Mason will tell you in just a moment. You're going to be floored when you see how long this vehicle is. Obviously, we have an aerodynamic design as well. That's part of what helps that coefficient of drag. And then as we kind of move up into this area, I can't, wait any longer to talk about the paint. Obviously, this has a ridiculously distinct green color. You can customize your Rolls-Royce to any color you want. This is a two-tone version as well, so you've got the black hood as well as the black trunk. And then our mirrors are going to be fully loaded with all the features, including auto dimming and power folding.
Yeah, you heard Drew. This vehicle is massive. So let's talk about how long it is. It's 226 inches long, which is actually longer than something like a Chevy Tahoe. I believe it may even be about the same size as a Chevy Suburban in terms of length. And really, when you see this vehicle next to other cars, we actually had it parked next to an Aston Martin DBX, and the hood was level, if not taller, than that SUV. So it has so much presence here in person. Now, of course, we're going to have our unique Rolls-Royce door design. And then as we head around to the rear, there's a lot to talk about here as well. Now, there's not a lot of individual design elements, but you have all of these signature Rolls-Royce characteristics that you've grown accustomed to. Like Drew mentioned, we have the black piece down here in the rear to really give you that nice contrast look. Of course, we have Rolls-Royce branding. And then off to the side, we're going to find a very simple taillight. I do like that we have a really cool clear lens here for the Spectre. It's going to, of course, be full LED for your brake light, turn signal indicator, and it has a lot of beautiful details inside the unit itself. Your reverse light's going to be integrated down here, and of course, you don't have exposed exhaust. This is an electric Rolls-Royce after all. And you probably don't need me to tell you this, but you are going to have every available safety feature that you would expect out of a vehicle this expensive. But without further ado, there is a crazy unique cabin that we need to go ahead and dive into. So let's get into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now, as cool as the outside is, what you really want to see is the interior. So let's get into that. First, here's our key fob. Of course, it is a beautiful and high quality key fob. The back of this is finished in the same leather color as the interior. That's a preview. And then, of course, you have real metal and piano black on the front. Nice and solid as well. And then walking up to the Spectre, I'm just going to grab behind the handle here to unlock. And just kind of pull open the door. Obviously, like Rolls-Royce is known for, we've got those suicide doors, which are really, really something cool to look at. Now, take a look at this interior. This thing is absolutely incredibly luxurious, and also we've got a cool, splash of color with those green accents that you get matching with the exterior design. Now, you probably don't need me to tell you that you can customize pretty much anything you can see with this interior to your liking. In terms of color choices, Rolls-Royce will split it into primary, secondary, and tertiary color options so that you can make unique combinations such as what you see right here. We have the finest leather on board. It is just a beautiful semi-aniline leather. Only the finest cowls are used inside of this interior. And then you've got beautiful piping and Rolls-Royce branding up there in the headrest as well. The seats themselves have a ton of adjustment. They are also massaging, as you would expect. And then let's take a look over here at the door trim. So what we have is the special Starlight door trim. So just like with the roof on this model, you have all these individual lights that light up at night, giving you just a gorgeous and very customizable look. And then, obviously, everyone loves the Rolls-Royce umbrella. That's going to be integrated right there with that beautiful metal handle. But let's go ahead and climb inside so that we can get into all the individual beautiful details. Now, shutting the door myself is incredibly strenuous. That is for poor people. So what I'm going to do is put my foot on the brake, and then Rolls-Royce will close the door for me. How luxurious. Now, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. So over here, we already talked about all the gorgeous things we have going on, but it's just real leather all the way to the bottom part. Beautiful metal speaker grills as well. As we move to the upper dashboard, we've got more of that beautiful leather all across the top in the two different colors. Gorgeous open pore wood. You have real metal vents. Ooh, listen to that. That's fantastic. All the buttons are, of course, real metal as well. More wood down here, more leather all throughout the cabin. Now, you do have a push-button start on board. It's on the left-hand side, which is signature to Rolls-Royce, of course. Now that it's all fired up, let's take a look at our gauge cluster. This actually has a digital gauge cluster. Since this is the Spectre, the newest Rolls-Royce, you can change what design you want, and they actually match the gauge cluster to the interior color, which is pretty cool. But it's nice and simple arrangement. Up top, we do also have a head-up display. Now, as far as the steering wheel, we have a gorgeous, fully customizable steering wheel. It's got that signature yacht design, real wood accents through there, and you can literally turn this with just one finger. That's how light this steering is. Power tilt and telescoping, obviously, and it is heated as well. Now, in terms of interior storage, let's take a look. Opening up our console here, we've got pretty good amount, actually. Nice felt lining inside of this as well. Wireless phone charging pad through there and a couple USB ports. You've got a little bit of storage right there, which you can cover up with the little cover. And then there are your two cup holders underneath of that piece of wood. Now, just like every Rolls-Royce, we have a column-mounted electronic style shifter. So you're just going to press down for drive, press up for reverse. When you go into reverse, you have a standard 360 camera. As you can see, you got a few different views that you can choose between, and you can use the little knob on the dashboard to go around it in the full 3D view. This is technology borrowed from BMW, the parent company of Rolls-Royce. I do want to point something out, though. This is really like the only thing that's plastic in this entire interior. Is this shifter is a little cheap. It's really thin and kind of plasticky on the end, even though they covered up this part with a leather pad. Now down in this area, this is the controller I was talking about just a second ago. These are your power buttons to close and open the doors. And then right in the center section, you've got your climate controls. Everything in here is signature Rolls-Royce. I'm glad they didn't go like futuristic with a bunch of touch buttons. Everything is nice and analog. So you've just got that wonderful feeling, real metal controls going on, including even things like adjusting your temperature right through there. This is also where you'll find your 3-stage heated and ventilated seats. Moving above, you have got a prominent volume knob for your audio system. Obviously, you have a bespoke audio platform. I did not find how many speakers this actually has, but it has, just an absolutely fantastic sound quality. All right, let's look at the main infotainment screen. So this is basically a simplified and special Rolls-Royce version of BMW iDrive. So it's actually pretty easy to understand if you are used to iDrive. You do have your built-in navigation system. You have the access to wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as well. And then above, we've got an auto-dimming mirror with our HomeLink universal remotes. Beautiful light controls at the top. And then we don't have a sunroof on board because everyone can get a sunroof, but not everyone can get the starlight roof. So you've got the beautiful twinkle of the stars. Again, that's matching even what you have in the door trim. So this is insane at night. You have basically these awesome star patterns with shooting stars that go across intermittently like I just saw.
Now, you remember how big I said this car was on the outside? Well, that means that even though this is a two-door coupe, here in the backseat area, oh my goodness, this is actually so incredibly comfortable. You really have about as much space as you find in a lot of sedans. Now, I don't have official legroom and headroom figures. That's something that typically isn't provided by Rolls-Royce, but we do have a good amount. I'm 5'9". This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and I still have, I'd say, probably 3 or 4 inches of additional leg room. My feet can slide up underneath the seat. And speaking of, this floor, look at the lamb's wool carpet. Oh my gosh, this is so incredibly thick. I just want to take my shoes off right now, but I can't do that on camera. Now, as far as the rear seat itself, of course, you're going to have the same color scheme as you would have in the front. White leather on the top, Rolls-Royce branding, beautiful leather headliner. And then up here at the top, we have some of our controls for the Starlight headliner. And then, not done yet, because here in the center, we have storage inside of here, 2 USB ports, and this is actually a large storage cubby. I'm surprised by how big that is. 2 cup holders in front of that. And we're also going to have our own climate control. So 4-zone climate here on the Spectre, and just like the front, you can adjust the fan speed just like that. Additionally, on this model, we have heated rear seats. I'm not sure if ventilation is available. It does look like it may be available here on the Spectre, but overall, very comfortable, and I can even do things like open my own window here with the window switch. Well, guys, here we are driving the very special Rolls-Royce Spectre. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things. As you can see on the screen right now, we're also going to be getting our sound level reading, because that may be the most important part about this drive in the Spectre. But we do want to go ahead and start by giving you a hard acceleration. Whew. Wow.
Well, that was fast, that's for sure. Luxury, or speed, is a luxury, of course, and on board with this Spectre, we have 577 horsepower, 664 pound-feet of torque. And since this is the first fully electric Rolls-Royce, that is instantaneous electric torque. And I think that really, we'll talk about this, kind of throughout this test drive, but electrification makes so much sense for a Rolls-Royce because it doesn't make noise. You just have that really wonderful, serene, quiet experience, and then also ultimate smoothness because there's no conventional transmission to even shift through gears. It's just that seamless acceleration.
Yeah, I have to say, we have actually driven a Rolls-Royce Ghost, and of course that has a traditional gasoline-powered engine, and I'm with you on this, Drew. I think that it just makes a lot of sense for it to be fully electrified. And yeah, I mean, that's exactly what a Rolls-Royce owner wants, is the power on demand, and they want it in a very refined and amazing way. Now, as far as the 0 to 60 time, Rolls-Royce has actually provided that. That's going to be sitting at 4.4 seconds, so it's no slouch by any stretch of the imagination, but I will say that speed is not the ultimate mission of this vehicle. Of course, there's quite a few electric vehicles that cost a lot less than this that go to 60 faster, but a Rolls-Royce owner is not really going to be engaging in that type of behavior. Basically, all they need is a lot of power in case they need it, because that is a luxury like Drew mentioned.
You do get a little bit of a sound effect, which is kind of like the violin sound, just like with Startup, where you kind of have that orchestra type of sound effect. It's pretty cool. Now, power is given to you by dual motor all-wheel drive, and we have a little bit over 100 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack in terms of your power supply.
Yeah, so that's actually not a huge battery pack, especially for something this big. And I want to talk about your range because, I think that's something that has made the headlines a lot. People want to know what the electric range is. So for the Rolls-Royce Spectre, we're going to be sitting at 266 miles of EPA range as equipped. That's with the 23-inch alloy wheels on the outside, which is what we have today. If you use these smaller wheels, that goes up to 291 miles on a single charge. So I have a couple things to point out about this. For those of you that say, oh, that's not enough range, the thing about Rolls-Royce owners that they were quick to point out during their presentation is, if they're going too far, they're just going to hop in a private jet. This is a vehicle that costs nearly $600,000, and because of that, they don't need to do cross-country road trips. They can buy an airplane ticket or fly in their private jet to wherever they need to be.
And of course, they typically have plenty of other cars, right? Probably other Rolls Royces as well. So you can
maybe
just take
Cullinan.
your Phantom, your Cullinan, your Ghost, something like that can go on your road trip. Love the metal sounding turn signal. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, those details Rolls-Royce just does right. Now, I think this discussion needs to go ahead and happen. Let's talk about ride quality. Now, you know that a Rolls-Royce is going to ride good, and I have to say, this is probably the best riding vehicle that I've ever been in, especially factoring in the fact that we have 23-inch alloy wheels on the outside. It doesn't even make sense that you can have this level of ride and comfort. You can see a bump, and you just don't feel a bump. And I truly mean that. Like, you can see any type of road imperfection, and none of it makes it into the cabin. So, obviously, that is Rolls-Royce's, pinnacle selling point is just the ride quality, and it absolutely rides like a dream. And in every sense of the imagination, that's what I mean.
Or like a magic carpet, because that is what they call it, the magic carpet ride, and it's definitely present here in the Spectre, just like it is in all of their products. Now, I'm not going to describe this as sporty, but I have to say, I think compared to some of their other products, this is a little bit sportier, because being a coupe means that the average owner, I think, will actually drive this. When you're talking about their sedan products, usually people are going to be chauffeured and be in the back seat, but the owner of these will actually be driving, and I think because of that, Rolls-Royce put a little bit more effort into the dynamics. The steering seems quite a bit faster responding than what I remember the Ghost being like when we were driving that about a year ago. And also, despite the fact that you have the magic carpet ride, it's not sloppy either. So you go around corners, you wouldn't want to be bouncing like an old Buick, right? It still is controlled enough that you're not going to feel motion sick or anything like that.
And while we're sitting here in traffic, I do want to hit some of your charging specs as well. So from 10 to 80%, you can expect in DC fast charging to get that in about 34 minutes. So it's actually a pretty fast charging vehicle, so keep that in mind. And one of the reasons why this drives a little bit better, I do want to point this out, is because you have rear steering. So that's, of course, going to help this absolutely gigantic Rolls-Royce Spectre. It's the size of a Tahoe, a Suburban, and it's going to help this just drive a lot smaller than it is.
So that was an acceleration in sport mode. I'm just kidding. There's no sport mode. It doesn't exist in this.
Yeah, absolutely not. Now, it's time for us to get to our slam dunk and airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element about the Spectre. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk?
The slam dunk is going to be the overall ride and luxury experience. This is honestly a good deal, or a good step up from the Ghost, and obviously we were kind of blown away by that when we were driving that last year. So this really does feel like the Rolls-Royce of the Rolls-Royce lineup.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we can't wait to give you that sound level reading here in just a second. Now, on the airball side of things, obviously, it's very difficult to pick out something that is not flawless with this experience. But the one thing we will say is that shifter feels a little cheap, which is kind of odd because that's something that you touch every single time you get into the vehicle if you're driving it. And also there's a couple things that are shared with BMWs. As expected, of course, Rolls-Royce is owned by BMW, but like things like this headliner, or this sun visor, excuse me, is exactly the same as what's in our BMW 3 Series, but it does have a leather wrapping around it to make it nicer. But you just kind of notice a couple part sharing bits, which is maybe something that a $600,000 car should not have. All right, but the time has come for us to get our sound level reading going 55. Now I'm going to put the fan speed on soft, which is, I guess, the equivalent of 1. You can't hear it at all. So let's go ahead and get it going 55. Wow. 54.9 decibels. And the reason I said wow was because we are here in Washington State. And the thing about Washington State is that these roads are significantly louder than what we normally test out in Kentucky and more on the East Coast of the United States. And really, we've been behind the wheel of a lot of different vehicles at this event, Aston Martins and, very expensive vehicles, and they've all been testing well into the 60 decibel range, 61, 62. So to be like 6 decibels quieter than also a vehicle that costs $400,000, I think is incredible. And you can just feel in here. Like, I don't need a sound level reading to tell me that it's quiet. It's so quiet in here, it's almost eerie. Like, when you come to a stop, you can see stuff going on outside, but you can't hear a thing. It's almost like, what they call those, like, silence chambers or whatever, that you can, like, hear your blood, like, going through. It almost is like that experience.
Yeah, I feel like Mason's just talking so loud right now. I'm just like, would you be quiet? Like, it's too much.
And as far as last things, I do want to point out your warranty, if you're looking to buy one, is 4 years and unlimited mileage on the Rolls-Royce Spectre. Now let's talk pricing for the Spectre. So, of course, all this doesn't come cheap. It's a Rolls-Royce after all. $422,000 is what we're thinking is the starting point for this. That's according to Car and Driver. Now, if you want a vehicle spec like today, of course, the sky is the limit when it comes to how much you can pay for a Spectre, depending on what options you choose. This tester today, I believe, is $558,000 spec'd out. So definitely be expecting to pay well over $500,000 for a Spectre. And if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the Rolls-Royce Spectre. Of course, this is a very special review, and we appreciate you tuning in to watch. If you enjoyed, we'd really appreciate it. Also, if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to help us to get more cars like this. Of course, it's very difficult to get access to a Rolls-Royce Spectre, so by you subscribing, you help that happen. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.